A lot of people are very good at making money with the OnlyFans management system these days, but not a lot of people are efficient with the way that they process the funds, the way that they withdraw from the accounts, and how they actually bank their profits. Now in today's video, we're going to give you the complete solution to OnlyFans banking so that you can have a super smooth process that allows you to lose as little money as possible, make as much money as possible, and do so in the smoothest manner possible. Typical issues with OnlyFans banking stem from simply a lack of understanding. You know, when people are presented with the opportunity to change the details on the account, they don't understand which details to change. With GBP, you've got 4 options and a name and an address. Most people will change the account number because here in the UK, account number and sort code are the key things. But actually on the payouts, the IBAN is the most important. And whether the IBAN relates to the account number actually doesn't matter, providing that the IBAN's correct. Only if the IBAN fails will they fall to the other ones as backups. Now you need to make sure that it is a business account, because if you're trying to withdraw to a personal account, it's going to be curtains. It's not going to check out. The account is going to run straight into verification via selfie, and it's just not worth the hassle. Plus the payments will probably bounce. For all they know, OnlyFans might freeze them, they might just simply bounce back, or it might take it straight to verification via selfie. Either way, personal banks, either short or long term, aren't the answer. So you want to have a business account set up and you want to use business account details. Another typical issue is the reliance on one bank. The reason why one bank is going to be a problem is because firstly, for compliance checks, you might have to evidence other banks and other proof of trading. But secondly, what happens if that bank goes down? What happens if they freeze it? What happens if they ask you questions and they, even if it is just temporarily freeze the account, you don't have a means of trading. So you need to have a multitude of different banks, preferably some high street, some online, some that know what you do transparently, some that don't, some that are incoming and outgoing. We'll talk about that later in the video. You need to have a multitude of banks essentially. Now that multitude of banks really shouldn't consist of only online banks, because if you're using only online banks, then what's going to happen if they freeze your income? What's going to happen if they take your account off you and you have 50,000 USD in there? Where are you going to go to talk about those problems? Are you going to ring them? Well, they're not great on the phone, as you know. Certain banks like Starling Bank and things like that, at least here in the UK, are fantastic on the phone. But you're not always going to have that luxury, especially with things like Wise and Revolut. You're going to have a far more smooth operation if you have a multitude of high street and online, and you store your funds in the high street. And the final common issue that I have is that people don't understand the withdrawal process. They will have a personal Revolut or a personal Wise associated with this account. They will wait forever to withdraw, and they'll withdraw $60,000 in one go, or even $10,000, $15,000 in one go. Now, one, it's a personal bank. It shouldn't really have business income going into it, so they're going to think that's a lot for a personal person, especially somebody who hasn't had this level of payment before, or it doesn't consistently come in. The likelihood of this payment being successful is pretty slim. It's either going to bounce, or the account's going to receive it and freeze, or it's going to face some form of complication or compliance check, which is just not worth your time. You want to avoid this where you can. So actually knowing how to withdraw, how often, how much, it's really quite important, to be honest. And it also will protect you in any scenario. If you're paying the creator from banking the funds, well, let's say she's on weekly pay. The more you withdraw, the more chance you've got of guaranteeing that you can pay her each week. Whereas if, for example, she wants weekly pay, but you're withdrawing once a week and that payment gets delayed for a bank holiday, or it just simply is delayed, which is extremely common, what are you going to do? You're not going to pay her? Well, she's going to think that's a bit suspicious. Now, it might be authentic, it might just be a late payment, but it doesn't matter. If you've withdrawn every day, or at least every couple of days, that's going to be far better from every angle. You're going to be able to pay creators on time, guaranteed. You're going to have far less questions from the bank because the transactions are going to be smaller, and there's going to be a much larger degree of payment history and trading history for this bank to evidence. Okay, so he's withdrawn $5,000, but in all fairness, he's been withdrawing from in this way for 4 years now, so we'll let him off. It's a little bit different. So with all of these typical issues, what is the key solution here? Well, I wholeheartedly believe there are 2 key aspects to a solid solution. One is that good bank structure stems from good business structure. So if you haven't got the company infrastructure, you haven't got it formatted properly under the right jurisdiction with all the parameters in place to make sure that that company is set up properly and has a good infrastructure, you're never going to have that banking infrastructure because it's a stem from the company. However, if you have that in place, the key solution is cash flow. How the money moves around is going to be your simplest process to navigating through what ultimately is quite a difficult part of this industry and having a super simple banking process. On the screen is going to be a flowchart that demonstrates to you how I see cash flowing through this business model optimally. Now, the funds are going to arrive from OnlyFans. You are going to withdraw. they are going to land in what we call an incoming bank account. Now this can be high street, it can be online, it doesn't matter too much. It can essentially be any bank that is willing to give you an IBAN, because that's what you need for most creators. If you have an IBAN, you can probably withdraw on most accounts, especially here in the UK and Europe. Obviously, if it's US, then all you're going to really need is a routing number and an account number, but providing that the bank gives you the relevant details for the account, you can use pretty much any account to withdraw and have as an incoming bank. When the funds arrive, what a lot of people do and where a lot of people go wrong is that they just pay the creator, boom, or they pay themselves, or they pay whatever. Now, that allows the compliance teams to basically understand, okay, cool, so you've withdrawn from OnlyFans and paid girls. You're an OnlyFans agency, we don't do that, sorry. If you have a process that allows those compliance checks to basically be inconclusive and then not have an answer on where funds are or going, that really is an indestructible way to bank the funds. Because then the funds are going to come into the incoming bank and they're going to flow to another one of your business accounts. It kind of goes back to the idea that I said before, have a multiple bank account strategy. The incoming will flow to what we call the outgoing. Now, the outgoing bank can be, again, anything, but we advise that it's high street, for the reason being that this is going to be where the majority of the funds are. If you have the incoming bank, a lot of it's going to move on. You know, as you receive it, it goes on, it moves on, it moves on. Now, this process can be as simple or as complex as you like. You can have money into the incoming and go across to the outgoing and go out, or you can have it flow through a few different accounts. You can have it move as far or as simple as you want it to go. But essentially, there just needs to be a process whereby the funds move around within your business accounts before they then leave to go elsewhere. So OnlyFans to incoming to outgoing to creator. This process is how you should navigate business banking. I'll actually just put a flowchart in the description so that you can download it and access it super easily. The final aspect of the solution is understanding the communication with banks. If you don't know how to apply or how to manage the compliance checks or how to explain things to them and describe what you do, you're going to run into a heap of problems because every bank will want to compliance check you at some point. There are compliance in place for a reason. You have to comply. You know, nothing I've said here will violate the terms, conditions, or compliance of any bank account. It's just a more efficient way of moving things around. You know, you need to comply. So understanding how to communicate is really, really, really important. Now, this starts from right when you set the account up through to when within a couple of weeks, they probably ask you what the hell you do and how you make money and what your trading is like. But then they're also probably going to investigate further, especially if some serious capital starts to come in. They're going to want to see proof of trading history. They're going to want to see evidence of what you're doing. So obligations to provide contracts, to provide proof of trading history. This is where, again, bank statements from another bank account will make great sense. So having another bank, again, is an advantage. So essentially, you need to understand how to navigate the communication to where they get off your case and they just let you crack on. Of course, this is a completely contextual basis, and it's virtually impossible for me to tell you exactly how you need to answer every question without me having the direct question in front of me. Essentially, the take home is be comprehensive. If they've asked you what do you do for a living, or if they've asked you what your payment is or what this money came in for or where it came from, be comprehensive. Give them a clear answer and be transparent with them. Don't talk to them about the OnlyFans side of things, but be transparent with them that a client's paid you for marketing services. It's a commissionable earning. It's likely going to come in every week, or it's likely going to come in every few days. Be upfront with them and say, look, this is a payment I'm going to expect regularly for my work, and have evidence in place. Have contracts, have sample websites in place. You can mock these up super easily on things like Wix, and just have something there to evidence them. So this is what we do. Hopefully that's helpful. I know that this is a really difficult part of the industry and there's not a lot of content out there that assists you. It's something that we've naturally been forced to understand and forced to set up a smooth operation for. You know, working with the volume of creators that we're doing the volume of turnover that we're doing, naturally we're forced almost to kind of have this process really nailed down. And of course, with the accountancy services that we offer to other creators and agencies, we've really had to figure it out. So if that's the case and you want to learn a little bit more, or you want any help with any further questions, shoot me a DM. My socials are on the screen. Thanks for watching.